It's serious Star Trek, and we got technical difficulties. I forgot my own theme song. What's going on here? Oh my gosh! Welcome to the show. We're going to talk about Star Trek. We're going to talk about science fiction, and we're going to talk about other stuff too. Oh wait, here it is. Oh my God, we're coming in hot, fast, and loose. Welcome to the show, boys.
Dantron! John
Hello,
Price.
everyone.
Yeah.
How is everyone today?
I'm so psyched. Dan and I did $1 Million Mailbox yesterday, so I'm really excited. I feel like I went to sleep and had a good breakfast and got up and talking to my buddies again about cool stuff. So I'm ready to go.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
No,
Everyone in the audience
grind,
check that out.
When you think about a dude like Rush Limbaugh or whatever, as much as you hate the guy, he used to go on 5 days a week, like 3-4 hours a day, no guests often, and just bloviate. And it ain't easy. It's
a good gig.
Dan, I gotta say, I'm always in awe of how you keep it going. I think it's great. You're one of the best guys on the internet.
Dan is great. Let's give a round for Dan.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys. That's so nice. It's all special effects, so it's a little known fact that so whenever there's like awkward pauses, we've got little,
Captain Troy, Captain Picard requires you on base immediately.
That's where we can bring in the sound effects.
I love it.
We can bring in chats from the users. We got people watching live right now, so bring in those comments throughout. Well, we've got them going on. Who knows? You might get a super chat, guys. I'm gonna have to step out of the scene for a minute for a couple technical changes. Oh yeah, there you go, Lair. Yeah, show that thing off for a second.
Oh, it's our wooden nickels, our wooden quatloos, series Star Trek.
Hey, Chris
Sagasag,
friend of the show.
Guys, I gotta step off camera for a second for some technical.
All right,
details,
we got it.
So.
We'll start talking about some Star Trek.
What do you want to talk about? Star Trek?
Yeah. John Price, I got to tell you, I didn't watch Alan McElroy's episode yesterday, and apparently,
dude, I haven't.
Like all of his Star Trek Discovery episodes, those are the good ones.
Yeah,
it's so funny that you're used to the movies and like, oh, the even numbered ones are the good ones, and
yeah,
I get why people say that. It's sort of a big thing, and so I just, you know what I feel about Star Trek Discovery. So I feel badly. I've been reading reviews. Inverse did a great interview with him, and I'm like, man, why don't they just give it to that guy? He understands what's going on.
Yeah, when like I remember, I think what was it, season 1 or something? He wrote an episode or co-wrote an episode, whatever it was, and it was still a really stupid story because it was part of the bigger story. But like the scenes felt better, like the interactions between characters felt better in that one episode.
That's just what I was going to say.
It's so
his strength is really giving character moments to, like, that guy could make you care about a block of wood on the side.
Yeah, no, he does a great job
of the set. It's like he always takes time. I don't know. I really admire his writing. He's a really good guy in person. So I think that's what really he finds the humanity in everything, which. In these tough times is really kind of incredible.
I mean, especially in a show like that where they explicitly like dehumanize everyone. It's very odd. It's a very weird show. It would be cool if we got him on this. It would be cool if we got him on this show. Although I doubt he'd be able to tell us anything useful.
Oh no! I mean, we could. I don't know. I should reach out to him.
I mean, we can ask.
He obviously couldn't talk about production or anything. Or verify that everything we think is true.
Alan, blink twice if this guy's an asshole. Yeah.
What did we just watch? Was that was last week, right? Where they were in the casino and there was some alien blinking and that's how they were cheating or something.
I have a confession. I haven't seen any of it.
So. Oh no. Well,
ever since their mid-season hiatus.
I literally forgot last week that it was on.
Yeah, I had no idea.
I was Driven a Peacemaker and looking forward to Resident Alien. That's that 4-quadrant show in our house.
It's such an interesting phenomenon. Like Discovery is such an, and I mean, you and I have talked about Discovery like more than, I don't know, anything.
We actually care.
Yeah. But like I not to belabor the point, but I find it so interesting that like they're not creating a Star Trek show. They're explicitly not creating a Star Trek show. The fans don't want a Star Trek show. The haters want a Star Trek show. The quote unquote haters, right? You know what I mean? You know what I mean? I do. Where it's like the narrative is that the haters, what do they hate? They hate the fact that you're not making a Star Trek show, right?
Yeah.
And then you're gonna love this segue. And then we have Paramount and Viacom, CBS, whatever the multi-hydra name is at this point. They're having their little shareholders meeting, stockholders meeting, whatever it's called, and they're putting out press release or like I guess a sizzle reel or whatever for Strange New Worlds, right? And people loved it. Everybody loved it. And they started sharing the pictures on Twitter, as one would do in the 2020s America, right? They loved it. They started putting out pictures and like little like screen caps and stuff. What does Viacom, CBS, Paramount do? They get the users blocked on Twitter. They put up copyright strikes. They have all the images, all the videos taken down. These are people who are literally excited about your product. And I
wanted to bring that up. I wanted to bring that up, John. It's like,
because it's the most CBS thing to ever CBS. Like you have people who are excited. No one was excited for Discovery. Like when Discovery Sizzle Reel came out, people like kind of forced their claps, right? But it was a lot of corporate kind of like, oh, check out this new show, right? People are actually excited for Strange New Worlds. And what does CBS do? They try to get people blocked from the internet. It's asinine. These people are nuts, man.
It's not just the people, getting people blocked for copyright infringement too. Those are your giant super fan influencers.
Those are the Nexus people.
Yeah,
like
those are the people you want to shut up. That's insane. That's like the opposite of marketing.
Well, and not to mention, this was a shareholders meeting, right? Wasn't it? Where it was released?
I believe so. Yeah.
Yes.
And I believe if it's a publicly traded company, that stuff has to be released under the SEC. So like, one, it's dumb, but it's also illegal. And then they have this thing that they put out their pilots and they put out clips, and then the theory is they want to get all the hits for daddy. Like they want if you're going to watch it, you got to click on their link, but it's just really dumb. It's a really dumb strategy when you have passionate people who want to show your stuff and talk about it and drive people to see it.
Pretty dumb. All I could think of is Price's paper, award-winning paper on this, that it's exactly the Axanar fan film stuff. Like, no matter how you come down on that politically or anything, it's just, that was so just awkwardly handled that it doesn't surprise me that they're like, oh, I think they just want to control like when the message goes out.
That's what it is. They're just really controlling.
If you put it on in a shareholders meeting, like you said,
and it was live streamed. That was the thing. It was live streamed, so people were just watching it at home, and they were like, "Oh, this is awesome."
That was just yesterday, though, right? I mean, because this morning people were linking me to all kinds of stuff, like the new close-up views of the set. And it's just like, yeah, of course, that's what the Kurtzman Enterprise set would look like.
I don't want to.
It's like Kurtzman. It's kind of the old thing, and then you just shit on it with glitter and unicorns.
Well, wait, and let's talk about how they. Am I wrong, or is that an Andorian on the crew?
Yeah, blind Andorian.
Yeah.
What is he, albino? What's going on?
He's blind. That's
he must be an Anar, right? Yeah.
But he's not. He's barely blue. He had barely the.
Oh, I see.
So
representation is important.
So in Enterprise, there's this whole like run about there's a subspecies of Andorian called the Aenar, Aenar, and they're blind and they're effectively albinos.
Yeah,
but they're like
Yeah.
telepathic or something. I don't remember exactly, but that's probably what it is.
Those are
Because
just
they're
the
like,
mole
oh,
people.
the fans like Enterprise.
Yeah. They're in the polar areas. That's great.
As if my blue people didn't get enough disrespect. They got to drain all the blue out of the scenario. They're like, this show's a little too blue. We got to back it off and bring in
A little too much blue in our Star Trek. You know what I mean? We gotta, you know.
I'm actually looking forward to Anson Mount and the guys playing Mabenga. I'm really into that. They brought Dr. Mabenga back. If you can't have Dr. Royce or, Mabenga.
I like the Mbenga thing because it's not. I mean, it's like, oh, that's cool, right? I hate the Uhura thing.
Yeah,
and I love Uhura as a character. I love Nichelle Nichols. Why in the world?
Why?
Why?
It's the Riker thing, right? At some point, you have to address why he's not getting his own command, right?
Right.
And it's like,
well, okay, and in the timeline, she's like 13 or something, but they don't care about timelines. So
they don't care about the.
They don't care about that. They don't.
But my issue is like, how do you have the same officers manning the same shit over decades?
The Spock one was weird enough. Like,
I get that.
Years ago, I was a lieutenant. Like, okay, all right.
I kind of get that one because they didn't really think about it back in the old days. So we'll spot him Spock, right? But like, there shouldn't be anybody else the same.
And wouldn't you, as a writer producer, wouldn't you want your own characters? Like,
I don't understand. Yeah, I don't get it.
What do they? I'll never understand this group. I will never ever understand this group.
Anyway,
maybe you guys can explain to me how is it a descendant of Khan?
I don't want to talk about that.
Yeah. It's ridiculous.
It's asinine. What is what it is.
I think we talked about this.
I don't care how they explain it. I don't care how they attempt to explain it. It's completely asinine. It's not going to be clever. It's not going to be cool. It's not going to be fun. It's not going to, oh, well, you haven't even seen it yet. I don't have to see it. In what world is a descendant of Khan Noonien Singh a bridge officer on the Enterprise? Like, in what world is that possible? Like, possible, cool, interesting? None of these things.
No.
But before on the ship, this is pre-Kirk, right? Era, right?
Yeah.
So it makes so little sense as to like
none. It makes no sense.
How would that not?
It doesn't make sense in universe. It doesn't make sense in our universe. It doesn't. It's asinine.
It's so stupid.
I'm
that
so
all
sick
three
of
us.
Khan, man. They took a really interesting like character, like antagonist, and they've just beaten it to death. It's like it's the Star Trek equivalent of giving us another Batman origin story. Yeah, we get it. His parents are dead. Yeah, we get it. Khan, it's a word. Okay.
Here's the thing I hate about that is that you might as well have a giant banner that says we're creatively bereft, right?
Yes.
It's like literally like doing a Hogan's Heroes reboot and having like Jane Hitler be the secretary, right? It's like,
right.
Why
do you
maybe
get
that
it?
could happen?
Antagonists are now friends.
Why do that though? I mean, maybe it could happen.
This is proof that the people producing these shows don't understand the universe. And everyone gets pissed off and they're like, oh, how can you say they don't know Star Trek? Clearly they know Star Trek. They have tribbles. It's like, no, they don't understand the universe because they're setting up these situations that make zero sense in universe. And look, you can call me a nerd, whatever. Oh, you care about that. But guess what? You're producing a thing that's part of a 50, almost 60-year-old franchise. You want it to stay somewhat consistent, or you don't want it to stay consistent and you embrace the fact that you're shitting all over it, right? And they're doing neither. Like, all that ends up is that they're creating just crap. Like, there's just nothing in the middle.
John, man, I hate to interrupt a good screed, but just
Yeah,
personally, I got the red mist when you said the word tribble, because that just shouldn't be anywhere near this show. And the last episode, which they came back from of Discovery that came back. There's a Odo type shapeshifter they're chasing. Which, how did that happen? And at some point, he turns into a tribble that they have to CG animate rolling down like you just kicked a cat toy or something. And I just was like, what are they doing?
I mean, I will say Khan is the best known Star Trek villain. I will be happy if they bring her, as long as they nickname her Connie. I'll be happy about this.
That's Steve Euclid.
But he makes a point. Steve makes a point too. It's why like they bring the Joker back again and again. I think it's less true about Batman because Batman has such a rich rogues gallery.
There's tons. First of all, I totally buy into they don't have villains, they have antagonists. I totally buy into that, right? However, even if you want to say villains, there's tons of villains in Star Trek. Tons of them. Khan is one episode in the original series. That's it. And then one movie,
just the only one that like was brought back into such a classic movie that's remembered.
Sure,
so,
and
like,
I understand that. And then the story was over. So why are you bringing it back? It doesn't make any sense. Khan's dead. Doesn't matter.
Well, this is why we go to the past. But then to associate the character with Starfleet, I think it would be a cool like reveal or a secret character, but to announce it as part of the ongoing crew and cast of the show.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, it doesn't make any sense at all.
Good reason.
Yeah,
it doesn't. Like, there's not going to be a good reason. This isn't. They'll give a reason. They will have a reason. It's not going to be a good one.
I got your reason right here, Johnny.
Quad lose.
Nice.
Hey, I the whole time I'm thinking about who would you bring back, and I'm like, man. You could do a theatrical movie, like big stakes movie with Kodos the Executioner.
That would be an amazing movie.
Yeah, do that.
How about if they wanted to do a prequel, how about Pike and all of them go to what the hell's the planet for Kodos? Whatever the planet is. They rescue little 5-year-old Jimmy Kirk from
exactly.
Thanos
do
the
that movie. Yeah.
You want to have Kirk in it? How about you do that? And then Spock can say, one day we'll be friends. And everyone will be like, oh my God, Spock and Kirk.
Weep. I gotta go get in line again. Yeah, exactly.
Guys, what do you think about the rumored, beyond rumored, pretty confirmed that Quentin Tarantino wrote that script for the Gangster Planet Star Trek movie? Is that not the Star Trek movie we need to see?
I would love it. I would love it.
I'm a giant fan of QT anyway, so like him doing Star Trek of any kind is like my wet dream. Like, please. Yes.
And a great period gangster piece, but with just a super weird Star Trek twist to it. Like that's it's almost too good to be true. I doubt we'll ever see it. I'd settle for reading the script personally.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, awesome. They would never do that because that's a great idea. Right.
Yeah. The movie could end up like if they had made that movie, it could have ended up being terrible, and I'd still be like, yeah, it's a good idea.
TJF says DS9 was a great show and it's probably the best one to look at when developing new shows. Stop pooping on the history. I will say at least they tried to bring it forward, right? With new sets of enemies and new.
Oh yeah, just a whole new scenario. It's no longer a ship, you know.
I have a feeling
that's a new twist. Sorry, Larry.
Because like you said that they released that info about Strange New Worlds at the stockholders meeting, and stockholders went crazy. They're like, yes, we're excited. Please, we can make money with this. And I just hope, beyond hope, that they don't have to do every single episode because we know that they can't do that. But just like do adventures where they go to someplace strange and new. Some kind of civilization or world, and if it takes 2 or 3 or 4 episodes, okay, that's fine. But at least if you don't like that, maybe you'll like the next bit, right? Which, I'm telling you, if this wasn't Star Trek, I would have checked out a long time ago because I don't care about their season arcs. I think the premise of the new show, Strange New World, should be them trekking through the stars. Right.
It feels like that's what they're trying for. What do you guys think of the retro characters like Uhura and I forget who else was on board? What do you think about that idea? Bring new actors in to play the original.
It's stupid.
Yeah,
it's stupid. Make new characters. Straight up. That's the answer. Make new characters.
You know what? I
we already have
just...
Pike. You're gonna have to have number 1 as Rebecca remains Stamos, which is awesome. I'm totally down with that. And then okay, from there it's a blank slate. That's it.
You gotta have Spock, right? I get that.
I mean,
Oh yeah, of course, Spock. Yeah,
but like, you know, and if you're dying to bring old people back, like, what's wrong with, like, you know, the a couple yeomen there, and you know,
get Ben Finney on board and then talk to me.
Well, I got a question, deep Star Trek nerds. Like, I feel like it's based on, because the Rebecca Romaine character is based on a character that was in the original pilot, right? That got diced up and turned into the pilot that we saw. So was Uhura in that original pilot? So I feel like anybody who was in that original pilot on Pike's ship is up for grabs, and Spock was on it, as I remember, right? It was
I agree with that. Yeah.
Sure,
I agree with that. Yeah,
Sulu and Scotty, Yeoman Colt. That's who I was trying to think of. Like, make her somebody. I don't know, whatever. They all.
Yeah, how is Yeoman Colt not in this? Like, of all the friggin' people you're gonna bring, anyway.
So, can I just proudly tell you that Steve, good old Steve's friend of the show, friend of ours. I drew that little icon for him. That's
oh, nice.
Yeah.
I can't
not just
blow
that,
it up.
but I was pretty lit in a San Diego hotel room. So that's like, I'm super honored that he uses that as his little icon. Also, Acacian Planet episode would be cool. That's the cats from the original Star Trek cartoon.
Yeah.
Get Mr. Arex, and everybody's crying about, oh, they can't do another movie because Chekhov is dead. Just put Mr. Arex there. Use that CG for a real reason.
Like 2/3 of the show doesn't have Chekhov in it, so I think we're good.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, no offense to Anton Yelchin, who was fantastic. I really like him as an actor, but like, if we're talking about the movie,
we're talking about the fan reaction, not him.
Right.
I was hoping for Chekhov the early years, like something really exploring his time in Starfleet.
Exploring his time in 4th grade. I mean, the guy's 16 years old, right? I mean, I don't know. I hate that when people are like, hey, Chekhov prequel. It's like, okay, I guess if you're into OBGYN or something.
Let me ask you this, guy. How would you feel? I feel like this is honestly has not been done, but we're not that far away from seeing something like a new Star Trek series just set in the original on the Enterprise there with all like deep fakes, and it just looks like the original cast and crew of the Enterprise. Would you watch a show like that?
I
probably would, but it would weird me out. You know, John Byrne's like photo play stuff, right? Where that's what you're talking about. You're writing a new Star Trek story for those guys, and I guess if you hire like real science fiction writers.
I just mean, like, you could have in the past, you couldn't do it right. They could just recast the characters like they do in a reboot movie. But I'm saying, make it look like this. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
make it look the way they're making it look like Luke Skywalker.
They wouldn't make it look like that. They wouldn't. We don't want that answer. But the answer is no one is ever going to make it look like the 60s ever again. Even though canonically it should friggin' look like the 60s.
This is what I'm saying. Why would it? It's like a Star Trek period piece. So you go, this is exactly the way it looked.
Yeah. I don't understand. Look, if they're gonna do, I'll never understand. Well, you know what? Never mind. I don't want to say it and then give them bad ideas. That's it.
I think this is a terrible idea because I hate those novels. I hate people that bring up that stuff, and it's like, oh yes, if you read that Harper Collins paperback that came out or whatever, you'd know the backstory on this ensign or what. That drives me bananas.
That's the stuff Star Wars fans get caught up in.
The thing is, for about 5 years, I read every one of those, right? And so what did they do? 10 a year? So I probably read 50 of them.
Wow.
And there's like 2 that are good. You know, of that first bit. It made me really happy to have new Star Trek adventures, but it was kind of hard to read as a novel because you would just be like, no, Scotty would never do that. Or, you know, that's something that happened in, you know, Bread and Circuses that you're saying it didn't. It was really hard. They were hard to read, the bad ones. But there's one called there's one called The Final Reflection. So this is like 25 years ago, and it's in my head. That's really good Klingon stuff, and I know they were inspired by TNG season 3, but they were inspired by that book because it's great. Anyway.
Well, there were those Timothy Zahn Star Wars novels. I remember reading those when those first came out, and honestly, people loved them. To this day, talk about them.
They still love them.
Yeah.
All I remember from that book is there was a line where like Luke Skywalker asked for hot chocolate, and it just completely destroyed my immersion in the entire Star Wars universe. Just disintegrated in my hands while I was reading the book.
There's one of the Shatner books that like Shatner wrote with like the Reese. What's their name? Reese Garfield, whatever their name is.
Those tech war things.
Anyway,
no.
So whatever, I forget the co-author's name, but Shatner wrote a bunch of books, and like Captain Kirk is the main character, but he's brought back from the dead, and he defeats the Borg. So.
Of course he does.
Right, with drinking Romulan ale with one hand.
Right.
In a Kobayashi Maru style scenario, no doubt. That's great. Mm-hmm. Like something only he could do it, and only by bucking the system, but only for the purest moral reason.
Right. Yeah, those books were awesome.
I love that guy.
Shatner's great.
We were kind of talking about fan films earlier with the Axanar thing. That's a good question that TJF has. But man,
what was the question?
Just that. There you go. The Star Trek Continues guys.
Oh yeah, Star Trek Continues.
It's all. I can't get through those.
Oh yeah, I've heard of that. Yeah, no, you're right. Of course, I have heard of that. That's what I mean. Something like that with those with better production values, but just designed to look authentic, and then really Captain Kirk and Mr. Spock there. They can pull it off now.
They can certainly try. Yeah,
those sets are incredible. I'm not taking anything away from those guys.
No, seriously.
But yeah, I can't take community actors. I know.
Well, and I mean the big criticism is like, oh, you people who hate the new Star Trek shows, all you want are the old Star Trek shows. It's like, I don't want a 1960s television show. I love like modern streaming. Like I love all these shows. I love Daredevil. I love, Battlestar Galactica, whatever the shows are, right? All the MCU shows, whatever. And it's like, I want a show of that quality. Like, I don't give a shit what it looks like per se, but if it's a bad show that also looks bad, I'm going to harp on it. Like, if you make a good show, then like the Enterprise bridge looks different. Okay, that's fine.
You just made something clear to me after like 4 years of this Kurtzman nonsense. That's what they want. It looks to me like they wanted to do Battlestar Galactica, but didn't pull the trigger all the way.
They don't know what the hell they're doing.
Yeah,
I mean,
a rebooted Star Trek like that with like phones on the hallway and guys like getting in trouble, that would be great. Yeah. But they just were afraid of the fan base.
Because again, to take it back, they don't understand the universe they're trying to recreate. They don't. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, haters. They don't.
Well, just look at Enterprise. That Enterprise should have been the best show ever, right? Because
it should have.
Holy crap, it's the first
premise
Warp 5 show. But space is crazy, man, and shit is falling off. And oh my God, we lost, Lieutenant Commander what's his name because he opened the wrong door. Like that's what that should have been like. And they just were like, oh no, look, everything's fine. I'm like, oh my God, give me Star Trek where everybody's shoes are dirty. That's what I want to see.
Yep.
Well, that's where I go. That was of all the Star Trek films, besides Wrath of Khan, which to me is the best. I really loved the Whales time travel back to Earth episode movie where it was like one of those episodes. It was like a crazy time travel episode. That's where they need to go with Star Trek, like for the films, and try something along those lines.
The thing I love about the whales is there's no bad guy. Like that's what Star Trek, the Kurtzman, the new Star Trek should be doing. Like experiment with how narrative works, right? Everything's this big thing to be overcome. Sometimes it's just like, shit, we need whales right now. You know, it's nobody's fault, but we need a couple whales. That's a crazy cool science fiction conceit, right?
Yeah.
And it's just missing from all the, there's too many thumbs on the scale. You know what I mean? The bean counters have a seat at the table of the writer's table. And I don't know how that happened. It's like, you guys go give us the budget and make sure everybody's got toys, and we'll tell you what to make toys of. And it's like they don't have that confidence that they know what they're doing to say that to people.
Well, they don't know what they're doing. So.
Rick Austin.
Yeah, Rick Austin. Yeah, yes. I agree with you. They need to stop trying to recreate Khan. They tried to do it with Nemesis, and it was awful. They tried to do it with First Contact, and they changed it enough so it wasn't awful. Right now, they're trying to do it with friggin' Into Darkness, which was an unmitigated disaster, possibly the worst sci-fi film ever made. Now they're gonna bring on Khan's stepdaughter or some bullshit. Stop with the Khan. Stop it. Stop with the Khan.
All I've got from this is that Rick Austin's Friday at noon on the internet can sometimes be available. So we have to get this guy on and to talk about the MTV big picture thing with
let's do it.
Star Trek 6, because that's awesome. Also, he loves the Exeter as much as I do.
Yeah. This is great.
Anyway.
Great.
What else we got? The Vic Mignola thing about Star Trek continues, that he's like a voiceover guy as well, but he's in the whole hashtag Me Too cancel culture thing. So that I kind of call my agent, Colleen, give us a Rick. Yeah, I don't know, but people have. I'm not really susceptible to that. I'm super separate art from the artist. But there's just something about that guy, being misunderstood or whatever, and being Captain Kirk, it doesn't work for me. The guy who's wearing the Kirk shirt needs to be fucking Captain America.
I'm sorry. Kind of tangential to the Me Too stuff, right? A lot of the criticism of the original series is it's very dated, it's very sexist, it can be somewhat problematic from a modern viewpoint, right? But they have this unyielding desire for prequels, right? So if you're going to make a prequel set in the TOS era, make a new one with your new sensibilities, your new captains, your new characters, your new relationships. Do not have Kirk, Spock, don't have these characters in it. Literally just make new characters. And be like, yeah, our characters are better than the TOS characters for all of the following reasons. How hard is that?
It's hard, dude.
I'm not a New York Times selling best author or something. But what the hell are these people doing? It's not that hard to create a character. People do it in D&D literally every day.
Here's the thing. Dan says it's hard, and I get what he's saying, but the thing about Star Trek fans is they will spot you. If it's a new guy, it's like, I don't like that guy. He's not my favorite. Or I don't like that girl. She does that thing. But if you set up, here's Dr. Mbenga, here's Khan's great-great-granddaughter, that you're starting off behind the 8 ball. You lose people like us, right? Yeah. It's just do a new thing, and then we'll judge that one.
For Discovery, as much as we crap on Discovery, right? The new characters, Georgiou, Landry, Lorca, even Tilly, Saru, right?
Saru, yeah.
We didn't come into this hating those characters. We came in going, let's figure out these characters, right? I hate the idea of Spock's sister. I automatically hate that character, right? But I don't hate the brand new alien character. Let's go find out what he's about, right? Yeah, or even Lorca, right? Lorca, it's this guy is he's definitely not a Picard-style captain. Let's figure this out. He seems a little bad. But then they go and they make him a rapist. What the hell are you guys doing?
Right.
It drives me nuts.
It really it's though it comes down to the writing and the acting. Like there is none of this stuff without without Kirk, without Shatner. None of it could have worked because he just like pulled. He's such not an over actor. He's not an over actor. He's a very skilled dramatic actor. I think the old Twilight Zone stuff. He gets a lot of credit for being hammy, but he's not hammy. He's just dramatic in that old school sense, like real drama that he can project. Like you would have to from a stage to project from an audience. Yeah, he could do that. He can do it with just his voice. He really is an amazing guy.
The thing I love about Shatner, though, is all of that. I agree 100% with what you said, but it also comes from a guy that has like a black hole of just charisma. Yeah, just the pause thing he does. I'm with you. Everybody has something to say about that. But you are riveted to see what comes out of his mouth when he does that, right? So, like, yeah, okay, he's a ham, but he's like the genius ham of all time, right? So you got to give it to him.
I'm going to bring a clip into a future episode where you've probably heard it before, where he's taking direction on a commercial with how it's like Howard Stern played it. I'm going to bring that clip in maybe for the next show. It's kind of long, but man, it is hilarious, and it shows him like how commanding his presence. Like
you're not talking about the Sabotage clip, right? That's why the Beastie Boys song is Sabotage is in the new JJ movies, because I think I know what you're talking about. He says he pronounces it sabotage. Right?
No, this one is where a guy tries to give him a line reading. He's doing a commercial, and he sort of chuckles, and he's like, "Okay, why don't you tell me how to do it?" And then he goes, and the guy does the line reading, and then Shatner reads it back, like note for note, exactly as that stumbling idiot just said it, like a Mina Bird mimic, like where you go, "Oh my God, he's like really talented in that way." I don't know. I got a hard on for Cap Kirk. I'm sorry. Like he's the guy.
Who doesn't?
Yeah. Do you remember his talk show he would do? It was like two chairs. I forget what it was called, but they had two chairs facing each other like that, so people had to talk to each other.
It was pretty great.
I love that show. I wish that show would just go on forever.
Because he was not afraid to have real conversations with people and disagree and really dig in.
Real talk with Captain Kirk. I love that show. That was great. I'm gonna have to see if that's on somewhere and make.
I've seen some clips. I'll dig some clips up for a future episode. Maybe they were all so long I couldn't get enough. A pithy little clip for the end of the show.
Right. Well, that was part of the value, right? He was really dense and going deep with people.
Yeah, for real. Yeah, he showed his intellect. He had it. He's he's a weirdo and he's an egomaniac and whatever he is, but he's not a dummy and he's a great actor.
Hey, speaking of clips, I gotta say, while it's fresh in my mind, those old ads and stuff you run on the way out, those are amazing.
Well, thank you.
I'm talking to my friends about the Sulu, Michigan bus thing, like daily.
I got one. I got a bunch lined up for future episodes. I'm gonna go them out one at a time. I got one for the end here. Oh, guys, can we talk a little bit about like non-Star Trek? Have we exhausted?
Only there was a graphic you could throw up to indicate the abrupt change of tone.
I know it'd be useful. Oh, hey, wait a minute. Let me just slap my dick on the screen.
Left turns.
Happy to do so. I want we got a couple things that Larry.
Peacemaker, right? Oh my God.
Peacemaker. For sure, I'm ready to talk about that a little bit. What else?
The one thing I loved the reaction. Have you been watching Peacemaker, Bryce?
Yeah. I have not seen it. No.
It's a James Gunn kind of thing with swear words and.
I mean, everybody loves it. So
the thing I hear from people are like, "Oh, this is Aquaman tells Flash like fuck you, Barry," in the last episode, and people are outraged. Like, first of all, you see Aquaman looks like Jason Momoa now, right? Like, so I can see that blonde Aryan Aquaman maybe shouldn't be swearing at people, but Jason Momoa saying "fuck you, Barry" about spreading that rumor about me fucking fish seems like the most natural thing in the world to me.
People
So, like,
aren't really complaining about that, are
dude,
they?
you should read my feed. People are like, "Oh my god, oh my god, Aquaman swore. This is a children's show." Like, Peacemaker.
That is not how the king of the seven seas should comport himself.
Peacemaker is not a children's show, you know.
Well,
Anyway.
moreover, has anyone talked to children lately? They got terrible mouths.
Well, that was, I got a 14-year-old son, so, like, he's been swearing for a while. Yeah, so
I do think it's the best show. It's my favorite show of this, like, season of shows or whatever you call it nowadays.
it was pretty satisfying
and most unexpected.
I still like. Well, that's why, everybody gets. But that's what we need to convince Kurtzman. Do new stuff, and everybody gets excited when it's good, right? I love James Gunn. Yeah, I know, that's awesome. I love James Gunn because he's like, it's so satisfying to have people appreciate what you have done, right?
Man, it's weird. It's like, as an artist, you should like try new things.
Yeah.
Right?
Interesting, huh?
Isn't that like a weird concept? I don't know.
Okay.
So
while you're queuing me up, Johnny, because I got a sci-fi thing. I'm going to go off on a little out there. I've got something that I want to show. Because Larry and I were talking about this or Larry and Dan Shaheen rather were talking about this yesterday,
right?
And it's Dan. Well, let's drop the facade here, fellas. So it's my theory that
Dan shows up at Serious Star Trek.
Where'd Dantron go?
Yeah, Serious Sci-Fi now, so
I can put it into Thanos mode or whatever. But my theory is that independent media, this is the century, like 20th century was about big media, and we're barely at the dawn of the 21st century, and we're seeing the stuff we're seeing put out, not just by independent like studios that have millions of dollars behind them, but just by individual people, especially in animation and FX. Mm-hmm. I want to play a 1-minute clip here from a guy called Ian Hubert. Okay. So this is all done in free software anybody can download called Blender. So I want you to check this one out and see what you think. All right, here we go.
Keeping money.
Wait, wrong one.
They jitter.
Your mouth's a champion.
All right.
That was great.
I love it.
This is what I'm talking about. So you can look this guy up, Ian Hubert. He's got a Patreon, and it's one of those rare Patreons. I subscribe to a few, but this is one that I'm just so eager when he drops new stuff and new tutorials and new videos. It's fully worth whatever, the $5 or $7 a month. And he is producing. He's got a thing called Dynamo Dreams. The first episode is called Salad Mug. I highly suggest you guys check it out on YouTube.
All I was thinking the whole time was like, oh, my kid's got more homework now. He has to learn Blender.
Now you got to learn Blender. Yeah, dude. He did it all in Blender with a little bit of After Effects.
Yeah. The irony, one of the ironic things, I think, anyway, and this is not an original point. Red Letter Media made this about like 10 years ago in one of their videos, but the effects are getting better and easier to make. So studio movies no longer get credit for having good effects.
Absolutely.
Like Star Wars, in 1977 blew the house down with their incredible original effects, right? If you're going to make a movie now and you have effects that look bad, everyone's going to be like, why do your effects look bad? Or why don't they look better? Or, okay, you have good effects. What else do you have? Right? So the irony is that writing should be at more of the forefront as effects get better. Right?
You're so right. But
and what's happening,
yeah. What those guys said, though, the pipeline for that stuff is so long. Like, they're literally in pre-visualization for the special effects before they have sometimes even really started the script or certainly have a final draft. Yeah. So they're putting the cart ahead of the horse. And this is where I go, now, though, the effects don't, now that we're at an even bar almost for that. That used to be you could put out something that was just effects and people would watch it. You can't do it.
And praise it. Yeah.
Look what Steve said. I was just gonna say that, make that point, but we can give it to Steve. Not just are the special effects better in your house, but you can do it quicker. So the pipeline thing isn't really even an issue anymore.
Big time.
Like the second that Luke thing came out, it was days later, but less than a week. Where some guys like, I don't get why that happened. Look what I did in my bathrobe, right? It's insane about special effects. So I agree 100%. More story.
And then I mean, I'm not an effects artist. I have no idea how it works. But like, why is it possible that the deepfake guy was doing better than ILM? Like, why is things like that even possible? Why did this guy make a better pod racing scene than ILM could ever make?
It's because the deepfake stuff is so new and it's not like some guy in there clicking on pixels. This is artificial intelligence. You train it using a library of videos, and
you know what I'm saying though. It's like, why aren't the amateurs being hired? And when they, you know what I mean though. It's like the professional visual artists are almost behind in a lot of cases.
This guy Ian Hubert would say, because he's worked on big productions, that's where he got a lot of his chops, and he's worked on small movies and everything. He's like, okay, I could be this little cog on this giant movie and spend 6 months on one little scene on 10 seconds of video, and it'd be a stress case and get underpaid and overworked and everything else, and own nothing at the end of it except one little credit line amongst thousands.
Yeah, the credits in these visual effects are
coming.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's a good point.
That's a badass like lightsaber fight or a sword. You just needed to spend so much money and have so much technology. That's all gone. So now we need those writers. We need the real crazy science fiction concepts to come back and start exploring those again.
Yeah,
because this shit ain't working anymore.
Yeah, and we should have an episode devoted to like the future of sci-fi, because I need to up my game on consuming sci-fi. Like, I basically just watch Star Trek now, but a lot of it seems really bogged down in transhumanism, and there's a lot of interesting concepts to go with transhumanism, but it just feels like they're really bogged down. And it'd be like if everyone in the 1920s was talking about troglodytes. It's like, okay, we get it. Moving on.
John, I'm sorry, John. I know all about transhumanism, but for our audience who might not be familiar, what the fuck is transhumanism? I don't know what it is.
So transhuman, like robots, like moving the human body and the human experience beyond the natural.
Okay. Sure.
Right. So integration or the singularity would be kind of the apex of transhumanism. But yeah, like, what is it like? How much of your body do you have to give to a machine before you stop being a human? Like, that's kind of like one of the bigger questions, right? So like Ex Machina transhumanist movie, something like that, right? One more mainstream version. But yeah, that's basically it.
Which was great. I mean,
it's a great movie.
That's what it's all about, right? About space anomalies and growing and changing and morphing and whatever.
Yikes.
Into space anomaly. So I have a question on a completely different topic. I have a question for the two of you as our co-experts and everyone in the audience as Star Trek experts, right? So I was in a store here in the local local area, and I was looking through things, and buried in the corner of one of the displays was a bunch of Star Trek Monster Maroon era pins, right? So like this guy, very clearly hand painted, but they don't have any markings on them. Like there's no markings on any of these, like oh, like Jay made this or whatever the hell it says. Right? So very clearly painted, like a kind of shitty yellow, but it's all metal. It's all metal. It's all got everything right. But one of them, and it's all very thin, right? I don't know if you can see. It's all very thin. Like the official ones you get from Roddenberry, a little bit thicker, right? And it's all very malleable. Like you don't press on it too hard, it'll break, right? But
don't
one
lick
of them,
it, John. Don't
but
lick it.
one of them is this old, very old style of Lieutenant Commander, right? So before it was canonized, so everyone knows this is Captain, right? This is Captain, right?
Yep.
And then this kind of weird double angle thing, and then 2 bars is Commander, right? And it was speculated that the Lieutenant Commander would have these 2 up and down, but then on screen for Star Trek, I believe it was Undiscovered Country, they canonized that it's just 1 bar, right? So 2 bars for Commander, 1 bar for Lieutenant Commander, and this guy is unofficial. This does not exist anymore. However, it's in Scotty's Guide to Star Trek. So it's kind of like, it's weird, right? It's part of this like weird part of Star Trek history. And I'd love to know if anyone has any idea on any possible background for any of these. Like, obviously, I doubt any of these are like, movie props or anything. But it would be really cool if I found something, cool buried in the case. Where did you get them again?
Where'd you get them?
I just a random like odds and ends store. They were just buried in the bottom of the case.
Around,
and
Richmond,
I was like,
Virginia.
I was with my wife, and I'm like, I'm buying those. And she's like, what are those? I'm like, I'll tell you on the way. Like,
I'll tell you after I buy
I'll
them.
tell you after I buy it. Trust me. Just trust me. I don't care how much it costs. Just go.
You know what? I got a feeling back in the old days, there was a lot of people doing the whole Chinese knockoff thing, but in America.
Yeah.
So I got a feeling some skilled artisan just made a bunch.
Yeah.
And then recently died, and his parents, I mean, not his parents, his kids were cleaning out the drawers, and they were like, this will be good for somebody. It's made out of metal.
And it's not perfect. Like, these aren't like perfect. They have lots of imperfections. Like, like this one, the edge is a little bit up. This one, it's not even gold. It's just straight up, just like probably aluminum, but it's silver colored. This one's a little bit better. It's got the gold kind of brush a little bit, but it would be really interesting to see if anyone had any ideas about that.
Did you pay a lot for those, John?
Send me, what's that?
Did you pay a lot for those?
I paid American dollars for those, yes. I would not like to say how many quatlus I paid. In case anyone's watching who doesn't want me to spend
anyone that you might possibly be married to.
I just know as soon as you left, John, as soon as you left, the proprietor of that shop's like, break out some more of that nerd bait, and like
that's right.
They just shake them out.
Well, it was mismarked. So around in this area, there's a lot of like odds and ends stores, and they always mark everything Star Wars, unless it explicitly says like Captain Kirk, Star Trek. Even some of those, I got one over under that blanket there where it's literally, it says Star Wars and it's just Captain Kirk. Anyway, so they mark everything Star Wars. So it was like Star Wars pins, and I'm like, those are not Star Wars pins. I know exactly what those are, but they're cool. Like this is cool.
Yeah.
So I got, and it like, they're not like cheap. They're not like plastic, like breakable plastic. They're like actual metal. Anyway, that's all I got. Help me out, friends. You're my only.
I'm going to say if you were under $50, you did great. That's real metal stuff. That's fantastic.
Yeah, definitely under $50. Yeah.
All right, then she can't get mad. I mean, she could. I mean, I don't think so.
The world is our oyster. So anyway, that's all I got. And there's still a few minutes left if anyone wants to bring in.
Wait a minute! I'm sorry, guys. That sign, guys. That sound means that it's my daughter's 5.5 birthday today.
Oh, happy birthday!
Yay.
Thank you to baby Dantrina. And
she's a great
we're going to
lady.
be celebrating with her gestational pod in just a few minutes. Unfortunately, I got to cut us short a little bit
let's
today.
get you to it.
Her
That's
gestation
awesome.
pod. That's something we shouldn't say.
Congratulations to Dad, because birthdays are notable. Even half birthdays are super notable.
Well,
half birthdays are better.
Thinks their kid is amazing, right? But this kid, I think I was pretty smart, like at that age. But I'm shocked and amazed by like the emotional intelligence. Like she'll stop fights between my wife and I and call, guys, let's do some deep breathing exercises. Like Maxine,
she's gonna be a great counselor.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I love her so much, and so I want to take us out on something that, a love of a father for his daughter, I think is super important. So I've got a clip here to illustrate that. Guys, we'll see you next time. We'll take you out on this. A nanu to everybody out there. We'll see you next time.
My father drove a starship, so it's only natural I'd fly around in something space age. My new Oldsmobile Cutlass Supreme, totally redesigned for the future. It's powered by a fuel-injected V6, monitored by an onboard computer. I guess some things were just meant for the next generation. This is not your father's Oldsmobile. Ready, Dad?
I'm ready. You ready?
I'm ready.
Steady as she goes.
This is the new generation.